Alright, this is my 45th video. Um, I've decided to start to get back to making more videos because, as I mentioned in the last videos, you never know when is my last one, and so I just want to make sure that if God forbid something happens to me, that I did my best to provide as much testimonials and insight in regard of my targeting, because one thing is for sure, as a target individuals, a lot of the tactics I applied um, consistently with others, it's just they do the same things to a lot of target individuals, the same tactics are applied on a lot of the target individual. So today, in this video, I just wanted to talk about something that I always like try to talk about it, but didn't was not too straight to the point in regard of some of these degradation tactics that they applied on target individuals for me specifically. But I know I'm not the only one, and that's why I feel empowered to talk about it and be a little bit more specific per se. But it's not something I like to talk about. It's disturbing, but it's what they do to me. And I noticed that there's a pattern of what they do, right? And this is something they've done for years. I've listened to a lot of testimonies going all the way back to the early 2000s, even before that, and it seems like there's always the same tactic of degradation, right? And they do this foul stuff, and all the disturbing things they do to people, and even in the no touch torture, um, you know, book that Robert Duncan talked about. He mentioned of one of his in one of the no touch torture that most target individuals have this happening to them, where it's meant to degrade them and to break them. They have a strong, um, as I'm trying to like find ways to say these things that they do that's horrible that I don't even want to talk about. But as a target individuals, I will not. It will not be. I will not make. It will be a disservice if I didn't talk about these things, because this is something they do a lot to a lot of target individual, and I want target individuals to understand that's what they do. This program that is, government target, like government sponsored, and probably almost like government run. Is being an idiot at this point to not think that this is something in that level, because the amount of resource that they apply can just only be at this top level. No single person has the resource to do this kind of thing. No group of people have those resources beside people within the government. So it's it would be stupid to think that's a different group. No, this is definitely a government sponsored program, because this level of advanced technology, this level of personnel, this amount of personnel, and those resources, the level of organization, the level of just everything being so controlled, can only mean that this has been going on for so many years, that they have perfected or trying to perfect this thing, and they have a structure that's been on that's been there. One mistake, a big mistake I made earlier on, is to think that this was only happening to me, when the truth is that was just being very egocentric, I guess, because there's no way that this whole thing could just been applied to me. They cannot have this level of structure and things going out to one person. This is something that is definitely a a program of some sort that has experimental and other goals in it. One, this is definitely to that level. And after hearing a lot of those testimonies, and hearing what they do, and hearing how consistent they do it, and who they do it to, and how everybody ends up at the same conclusion, that this is has a definitely a strong governmental sponsor in this, and most likely ran by it, by the different agencies, security, intelligence around the United States and outside, the country, which, as we always know, this one top government in the world that does most, but this is global, so it's definitely a global government and security intelligence um, uh, uh, program, right? With a lot of, they all like work together in that nature. But um, so what is the degradation I want to talk about that they do? If you've read the No Touch Torture of from Robert Duncan, he says that most target individuals experience child pornography in their head. They are forced to they force them to put child pornography. They force target individuals to have those child pornography imagination in their head. It is disturbing and disgusting, but that's what they do. But at the end of the day, the goal is to break the target individual, and it's meant to push the target individual to kill themselves, right? To harm themselves, and that can is perhaps the most tormenting, disturbing things somebody uh, has to deal with, has to endure. But is what they do. This is meant to break a target individual to the core, which he has been. That's I would say that I got close to that point, and those testimonies were God sent in order, he helped me see that this is not just me. I know this thing just didn't make sense. It's not me. I've never been that. I'll never subscribe to this thing, and I made the mistake to like write letters to to like newspapers, thinking that this is crazy. This entity of government that's doing this to me, and finding out that it's really consistent with other testimonies. And so in this video, I just want to talk about it. So to all target individuals, the reason why, and to everybody who's watching, the reason why I'm covering myself is just because I know that first of all, people will never take it serious, and at the same time, but I know it's happening, and at the same time, this is a way to, although my employers all know that I'm making these videos, I will continue to speak about it, even though I have my face covered to keep my identity, because I know what this sounds like, and I know that um, we are discredited, and people try to label target individual, which is on purpose, as schizophrenic. But it is happening. The numbers are growing. It keeps hearing things about target individuals coming from all around the world. Testimonies are coming from all around the world, and it's becoming too common. And I just, I want to make sure that, God forbid something happen, I've said everything that needed to be said. I can be okay to move on, right? And I think that it would not be right for me to go through this thing and not share it, because I know how it helped me um, deal um, with this, understanding that this is not just me. This is actually a tactic. It's a pattern of this type of torture, and so they are trying to depattern you and repattern you with these disturbing things that they're doing to me. So I'm going to talk about my experience, and I hope that this helps somebody understanding um, what this how grotesque this program is and what it's meant to do to people. And to all the target individual experiencing this, understand that do not subscribe to this disturbing, disgusting thing. It's just meant for one thing. It's meant for to break yourself, to destroy yourself, and it's meant to make you see yourself as something else that you're not. I want to say, as I'm making this video, the radiation in my apartment is extremely increased. This is something they don't want me to make, because they are trying to really gaslight me into believing that this thing is me. And then as I'm making this video, they are destroying my organs. I can feel it vibrating, but it will not stop me. I was like, I'm gonna make this video. I don't care if I die. I don't care, but this is something I'm gonna make, because it's that disturbing. And I don't believe I'm an angel or martyr, but it is my responsibility to share this thing and to let them understand that I know that you guys are doing these disturbing things to me, and I will not let you guys live your little fantasy and remind you guys how disturbing this thing is. So, and what I mean, you guys, is the perps. There are, some of them were making noise campaign earlier on. I don't know if my microphone captured that, but um, and this contractor that the government hired, and with me, they are trying to make themselves appear as people who protect people. They make themselves appear as if they are feminists, when in true reality they just trash that um, torture other people, torture women, children, and do the foulest things. As I'm saying that, they are going against my joint, my shoulder, and they know that I'm never gonna subscribe to it. But because I'm isolated, these things are, putting my head, and they want to break me into accepting this. So I want to start about the degradation. Uh, I wrote a bit of a note just to kind of get my mind, because I will ram like this. There's so much for me to say. I just had to organize myself into speaking about it, because there's so much that they do. Um, so starting off the thoughts, with the degradation. So as I mentioned, they have this. They are very pedophilia centric, meaning they use pedophilia as a tool to degrade target individual. And so, if they have control of your thoughts, if they have control of what you can think, how you think, and every other things that they can control, emotions, stimulations, you understand it's going to be very much the way that they like to break people. So, pedophilia is strongly used in this program, and in my program. They do it to break me, to degrade me. And I'm gonna be honest, initially it took a lot of me. Like, even now still, but it took me, I almost went over the edge. But I had to get back to myself and just understand that this is what they do, and get back to accepting that this is what they are doing to me, right? And I'm guessing because they've been doing this for so long, they've mastered this thing. They're not mastered, but they're getting better at this thing, because it's so disturbing. I'm hearing these testimonies from as far back as early 2000 and maybe even earlier, but they're just doing these things, and it's just the same pedophilia centric type of torture. Um, and so they are trying, first of all, to cover themselves, right? They do this degrading, disturbing, disgusting pedophilia centric tormenting, where they control your thoughts, they implant nasty pedophilia centric thoughts. They do all this disturbing pedophilia centric torments, and then try to present themselves as people who are here to stop you because you have those thoughts. So they implant, it's like basically they implant those nasty thoughts, they create those nasty thoughts, they force you to have those nasty thoughts via this technology that's synthetic telepathy, V2K, and then they want you to feel guilty for the things that they put in you. And so they do noise campaign. They present themselves as this feminist, and there's one moment where I remember going to the elevator, and before going to the elevator, somebody just came and and they started doing this nasty thing, and that person laying against the wall and just like waiting there on the wall, just looking at his phone. He's like shaking, like, oh. And I immediately looked at him and I called him a pedophile, and I walked the stairs, because this is the things they do. You are putting these things in people. You're damn near a pedophile. Even though you're just using it perhaps to break somebody. This is the word. I mean, it's disturbing. You are trying to put pedophilia emotions and thoughts in people's head, and think that you're normal. You are damn near a pedophile. So I call them pedophiles. I see them. I was like, you're a fucking pedophile. And I'm sorry about the language. I'm trying not to curse, but my emotions, are they get there when I think about it, because it's so disturbing. And so, um, yeah. So they do all this nasty pedophilia thoughts and emotion and stimulation and degradation, and then they try to present themselves as feminists, as some kind of organization that are trying to stop this. They're trying to make you believe that you are thinking this way, but on your own. You're trying to break you. That you're trying to sorry. That you're this individual, and they're here to stop this, or they're here to protect the community when they are in fact doing this to you. Now, I live in New York City, right? And one day, I got mad. Like, you put all these disturbing, this like disgusting things in my head. Well, there's actually people around that do these things that you put in my head. That do these disturbing things that are thinking this way organically, right? While you are putting these things in my head. So I did a search of convicted or of like sex offenders, and the first person I clicked on, which lived in the surroundings here, raped a 4-year-old child. This is right here. Now, this trash, I hear putting things like that in people, knowing that these individuals actually exist and not too far from here. This man, it was the first. I stopped clicking on it, but I saw this. It was just so disturbing, and there was a long list, almost 40 people, and this is only people within this area, the zip code. So that just remind me, like, these things that they do to me, these disturbing things they do to me. Actually, these people exist, and while these people are probably over here, pray, you know, preying on children, try to find their next victims. They here forcing me to breaking me into whatever nasty things they're putting in me, and trying to do all these disturbing things to me. And so it's just disturbing, but it's what as a target individual I've been dealing with, and I know I'm not the only one. I've heard it before from other target individuals. And so as I'm looking here, I'm just trying to calmly speak what I have to say, because this is obvious. As you can see, it's something that takes a toll on somebody. So I want to be able to express myself clearly. I know perhaps they don't like that. As I'm saying that they are doing so much thing to my organ, I can feel the vibration within my organs, like internally vibration, and they've been going hard against my on my intestines, my gastro organs. So I'm gonna say everything they do, and as I'm saying that, there's a perp outside that just trying to say some slanderous shit. I'm sorry, slanderous things, calling people pedophiles when they're the one doing this thing to people. The truth is, they are pedophiles. Not because perhaps they do these things, but because they put these things in people's head, and they are trying to gaslight people into accepting. So that's why I'm commonly trying to go through this list that I create, to make sure I touch on everything and be as clear as possible. As disturbing this thing is, I need to be able to express it. So let's talk about the manipulations. Um, there's obviously the manipulations. Not only they putting these nasty thoughts, these disturbing thoughts in people's head, and imaginations and all of this thing, but they also manipulate body parts. They manipulate things, most importantly, the nasty, the disturbing libido manipulation, which are so disturbing, but that's what they do. And you can imagine how they apply these manipulations, the most disturbing things, and they do other little things, that's so bizarre, but they do it to ruin moments. I would be eating let's just say I eat something, um, not even that. Let me just say, they do things with my mouth, right? They make me bite myself, um, or feel my teeth, my tongue. They do weird things every time they put these disturbing thoughts in my head. To do this little weird things are just weird, you know. And that's so bizarre. But this is some of the things they do on top of the libido manipulation or other things that just disturb me, and to the point where If gone to the point where, for example, I eat a fruit or yogurt and I'm enjoying what I'm eating, and as I'm eating, because the food is good, tastes good, they'll put this disturbing thoughts to ruin what I'm doing, to ruin the food I'm eating. So they do all this disturbing manipulation of that, which is disturbing. And mind you, as I'm an adult man, and let's just say I'm in the company of somebody, a woman or something, or I mean, they could put these things while those moments, and I don't need to be graphic, but they do this to ruin. And let me just say that there's been some moments where dis, they disgusted me, and I stopped, right? And so this just so it was too much, but I tried to just block it out because it's just so disturbing. Now like I said, I'm not perfect, right? So as a typical man of my age, I want to go out. I want to meet people. I want to meet women. But I understand that they're gonna ruin this thing. But at the same time, I know most people I interact with are perps, and so not only they're perps, but what they do to me and the way they ruin this thing by putting this disturbing, um, you know, pedophilia centric torments in my brain is gonna be applied. So they ruin all of this moment. So as a man, as an adult man who was uh, a normal sexually as a normal sexual human being, they have rewired and tormented and broke that thing and disturbed me to the point where I do not want to think about anything sexual, because they're gonna flip into this pedophilia stuff to the point where I hate, and I am don't even want to think about anything. While prior to August 19, 2019, I was definitely a sexual being, and now I just don't want to just test that. But it's okay. I don't mind not have any of that. But the thing is, they're now using my libido to go that way. It's so disturbing, but that's what they do. It's disturbing, and they're gonna continue to do that. And so, as a target individual, I know I'm not the only one that they have used the libido to do some terrible, horrible, foul, to not to use, but they have applied. They've used they've used the libido to break them. They've used their libido to break the individual, and which is what they're doing. They're using my libido to disturb me. And so I'm like, as soon as I feel my libido going up, I was like, oh nope, they're gonna disturb me. It disgusts me. They use it to break me, and it's disturbing, you know. And another thing is, like, my fear is, if they do this to my brain, are they capable of putting this disturbing content on my computer, on my phone device, and set me up in that fashion? They keep saying that, I'll be framed. They literally say that. This is a fear. And the thing that they do, right? Once they do these nasty things in my head, right? This pedophilia centric thing, they try to put fear in me, right? They say, you'll get raped. You'll serve. All these things. So that it's like, I put something in your pocket and say, hey, what's that? And then you're scared, and you're like, oh my god, no, 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 it's nothing. And that fear is used against you. The anxiety is used against you, right? And they say, and when they put these nasty things in my head, they're like, oh, caught you, busted. It's like throwing a ball at you, and you catch it, and it's like, oh, you got busted. That's what they do. They are putting things in your head and then try to make you feel nervous. They make you those stimulation, and they make all this noise campaign. They have you have those thoughts and then make a noise campaign, like just get you all riled up. And you initially, you try to explain yourself. It's like, no, it's not me. Like, this is not my thoughts. You're thinking that they're gonna And they're gonna, the rational people. Well, all along they were doing this to you. All along they're the one doing this to you. All you know initially is that you don't think anymore the same way since this thing happens, since August 19, 2019. That something has just changed your way of thinking, just rewire you. Just all these disturbing things comes in your head. It doesn't feel normal. And as I'm saying that they use this, and it's funny that even the perps that they use to do the gaslighting, the noise campaign, they all have the same. It's like I was listening to other testimony, and they say how they keep using these young people. It's exactly what's happening to me. They're using young people, um, and they just using the same tactic, same demographic, young, morally flexible, and trying to make themselves as good people, as people that are here to protect. And they use repetitions, say the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over, just like other target individuals I mentioned. So nothing really changed in the nature. They're using the same tactic. So beside the manipulation of like my physics, they also creating falsified memory, and this is something that is disturbing too. One of the latest thing, and this what kind of inspired me to make this video, is how they make me imagine certain things. One of the latest one is the most disturbing, but they've done so much other stuff. Is this one moment, right, when I was maybe 19 years old? My best friend, I went to my best friend's house. I went to my friend's house, right? He was sitting in the living room. I sit in the living room, and his aunt, his cousin, had his little girl, and he brought the little girl was 5, 7, between 5 to 7 years old. I don't know. As I'm saying that, they're trying to do some terrible things. Between 5 to 7 year old, and one time she brought she came to the living room for this 5 to 7 year old child, and start putting lotion, right? Start pulling lotion, and this is a little 5 to 7 year old kid that naked being, they put lotion on her in the living room. So I'm the living. I don't care. I'm just okay, whatever. I understand. I have a African background, and this is normal, right? Um, you know, and but this moment now, they're trying to put this little 5, 7 year old kid in my brain, right? Mind you, first of all, naked, and do all these disturbing things in my head, and to making me imagine it in different fashion, putting nasty perceptions, nasty narratives, all these disturbing things, where they even to the point like, where did you look at her? How are you looking at her? How do you like? It's so disturbing, and it's them trying to turn these things into, um, turn into these disturbing things. First of all, I don't want to have this little kid naked in my head like this. First of all, and at all, why are you putting this little kid in my head? And then on top of that, not to first of all, it's changed. They put it there. They make me visualize in different ways. They do all this nasty thing. Because that one time when I went to my friend's house, her aunt, his aunt, sorry, brought the child, the little 5 to 7 year old, in the living room while we were all sitting there, and put lotion on her. And as I'm saying that, they're putting some disturbing things. Now, a normal person would be okay, it's just the mother taking care of the little kid. But what they're doing to me is so disturbing. They're making me imagine it in different ways, disturbing ways. They're putting this child in my head naked. Why? It's so disgusting. And it's like, but she was like, but I don't want to imagine that. Whatever is like a kid, mother taking care of a little kid. That's that. What you're making me imagine is this little kid naked in my head. And they just make me focus on this little kid. As I'm saying that, they just make my heart beat a little faster. And it's just so disturbing. Because they want me to see this thing in a sexual way. Instead of just a little kid having her lotion there, being putting the lotion on this little kid. But now, stimulation, they're trying to make me see how you looked at it. They focalize on it. They play so much trick to the brain that they do this. It's so disturbing. As I'm saying that, I hear a perp just laughing, like, and they want me to be free. I was like, oh, you see that? That's proof. They'll rape you. No, I'm not subscribing to it. I'm not even scared of it. I, this validates me how you guys try to change and perverse things, disturbing things. But mind you, these people are very pedophilia centric. So their goal is to really disturb you, and then they're trying to kind of say, you see, that isn't you, it's just naturally. Look at that. Look, you are. This is just one of many examples. This is kind of obvious. And now they're doing this now because as you go longer and longer in the programming, you're changing more. You become forgetful who you really were before. And so now they can try to even play with things. They've disturbed me on everything. I cannot look at a single thing that's innocent, like a child, a commercial, a TV show, or anything or image where there's a child, because they're gonna try to turn it into some nasty pedophilia centric things. It's so disturbing. I used to be always wanting to have kids. I like kids. This like it was so like I wanted to be a great father and things like that. Now I detest being around children. I detest seeing children. I detest hearing children because they do all these terrible, foul things to me. Just like just the example I said before. But this happens all the time. It's so disturbing. And then they go back into me as a child myself, right? And then they're like, but remember when you were a middle schooler? Remember this thing? There's something I did as a kid, embarrassing thing in middle school. Embarrassing thing, but I know I was a child. They are trying to exaggerate this. Something that's embarrassing that you're now in my mid, to in my 30s, thinking about it's like, oh my gosh, it's embarrassing. But I was a kid. I know kids. I'm old enough to be a father of the kid that they're trying to say that during what I did. No. And they have to exaggerate. This is coming from people who do pedophilia centric tormenting. So it's just it's what they do. It's disgusting, but it's disturbing. But it's what they do. So they try to do this what I did as a middle schooler, and so you see and they try to exaggerate, try to create a pattern. Because what I did, it was a one-time idiotic thing, as just kids do around that age. This is actually a fact. Kids at that age can do anything stupid, and so because they know this is something that a child did, not an adult, they are trying to create some things of that nature. Like they're trying to create things like that as an adult. For example, that memory that they're trying to change with it, they they're trying to create something there and trying to perverse this little kid that was being put lotion on, and now they're just putting me in my head and just make me. It's so disturbing. I know it's not me. I know that's them. Mind you, I can't even look at anything with a child because they're gonna do this nasty thing. And then not to even to make it even worse, they try to go back as me even younger. And there's a moment they were saying, but when you were 7 year old, you're 7 year old. Remember when you 7? They've gone to the level. So as I'm trying to go back and make sure I don't miss any points, they are trying to break me into accepting this disturbing personality, these pedophilia centric things they've done to me, into accepting that this is me. They're trying to force me to accept this thing. And so I'm making videos to all target individuals that have these kind of things that are being done to them. Understand, don't subscribe to any of these disturbing pedophilia centric things that they do to people. That's what they do. whatever things they twist around, the nasty things they change around, perceptions, the nasty imaginary things they put in you, and what they call it is proving. It's like we proved. What is proving to them? Is this manipulation of your memories, those programming of perversion, of pedophilia that they program you. The things that they do to you is the proof that they have. What is like basically planting in the proofs, rewiring you the proofs, and then on top of that, they use this. As I'm looking at my notes, they are those perps are there to just feel like they have so much proof, and they use fear-based tactics where they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're gonna get raped. Oh, you're gonna rape. We're gonna do this and that." And then if that doesn't work, they're using torture, actual torture. For example, me making this video, so much things is happening. My organs, my knees. I know tonight they're gonna do some terrible things to me. But I said I'd rather die. I'd rather suffer. I'd rather I'd rather live the hardest life than do what they do. But one thing is for sure: if I scream, if I cry, if I'm in pain, if I hurt, I'll never subscribe. And the nasty things that you do, the slander, they come. I've heard some say, "Oh, you raped a child, you molest a child," things of that nature. None of this is true. None of it. But they wish that that was true, because what they're doing to me as now is these disturbing things. And I repeat, I search child rapists in this area, actually sex offenders. The first thing I clicked on was a man who raped a 4-year-old child, and this person lives in the area. The first person, there's about a list of 40 person. This is the reality versus what they try to change you as. Right, the reality is this people like that living not even too far from here. But they're trying to change you and do these disgusting things. Now, to all my target individuals, I know things are hard. I know they're trying to change you. But tell me if you don't think that your life is much more dignified than the crap that they do. They are damn near pedophiles. Now perhaps they do not do things like this, as in they don't do things to kids, they don't rape kids per se, but they create things like that in people's head. And of course they target kids, they torture kids, even sexually, with this remote weaponry. That's military grade weaponry. How foul can one person be? Just there's no law to them. Now, I know they do that to people more vulnerable than me. Matter of fact, the reason why I'm able to express myself now is because I heard what they do to them. As I'm saying that, I understand the pain that's gonna come with this. But I'd rather suffer than let them live their little fantasy, thinking that I'm not gonna. No, there's others that are being tortured in this way and tormented this way. So I want to make sure, please, target individuals, do not subscribe to this crap. These people are disturbing, disgusting. Yes, this is a program ran by the government. Yes, they hire people to do this. Yes, they're trying to gaslight you into this, but do not subscribe to it. Stay strong. Understand that what they're doing to us will be reimbursed. And they are miserable human beings, and I would rather suffer this way, slowly die, than ever in my life do the things that they do to people. Because their life is so undignified. They're such frauds. They're such trash. Let them use your. I don't care. Let them use my body in frustration because I'm able to call them out for what they are. but it won't change what they are. Just trash. To all my target individuals, God bless you.